I've learned a lot about the Bible actually on TikTok, and how like a lot of what it professes is like would align with left-leaning policies. Um, but like no one ever talks about that. Like you know what I mean? Like I feel like so much of the religion kind of area has been co-opted by the right wing. While most of like the things of like being good to your neighbor and helping the needy, like that, those are things that align with the left, and no
Hmm.
one makes the effort to kind of make that point.
Well, it
Yeah.
depends on what color their skin is. Your
Hmm.
neighbors, they want their neighbors to be the right ones too. But the Bible actually has a lot of right wing stuff too. I mean, it endorses slavery in Exodus 21. Like, so it's like the Bible's. I hate when people use the Bible in politics just
Yeah.
because. Oh, so many reasons. I just, I just, it's. I don't know how else to say it, but I feel like the Bible should not be used for rational decision making. I think it's a nice
Yeah.
hobby,
It shouldn't be used in
basically.
forming public policy. You can use it in
Yes.
your own belief system,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
it shouldn't be influencing what everyone else has to live with, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think like what I'm saying, like in terms of going into these is not using that for decision making, but just like
Making
building
connections.
trust with
Yeah.
people that are, in those communities, and then maybe exposing them to like some ideas about labor unions, or like other things, like using that as kind of an avenue to build
Hmm.
trust, and and then kind of socialize them to these other types of things.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
So,
I guess what I meant by that was like I have a lot of beliefs. But a lot of my beliefs seem to be towards helping people and bringing people together and not excluding anyone and not stopping anyone from doing anything horrible or good or anything. Like I don't try to, and all my beliefs seem to be helpful. Um, with religion, it seems like the views are can't be personal because the morals are so high that they have to share them, and by sharing them I mean try to make you do
Infringe
them.
them. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's and that's the problem with it is that it's so the stakes are so high for people that believe in those religions that they have no choice but to be passionate and outward about it. So when we say keep thy religion to thyself,
mhm.
it's easier said than done.
Yeah.
And if they did keep it to themselves, you'd think, well, they must not really believe it because if I believed that, I wouldn't want to keep that a secret. So that's what makes it so difficult. I believe anyway, but I really just think religion should go now.
I mean, I think the kind of fundamental role of religion is to like kind of bring morality into society, or
Sure.
that's what the role should be. Um, and that's a great thing. I think,
Hmm.
everyone should have morals. And each of the kind of religions do that. They all tell you, not to murder people, not to lie,
Hmm.
not, just be a good person. Um,
Yeah.
it's when you go into like the Bible and look at like specific lines. I'm like, why do you who the Bible? Yeah, I'm sure there's an answer. People believe in that answer, but like, I don't know. Like, I just think like just take away the fact that you need to be a good person and then move on.
I think God actually interrupted your stream for a second. When you said go into the Bible, you went out just for like a
Oh,
little bit. So I'm just saying, like,
divine intervention.
yeah. So what did you say when you go into the Bible, what?
um,
If it goes again.
I so when you go into the Bible, I don't think you should go line by line. I think you should just take the overall message, which is usually be a good person, and just take that with you in your life. And you know, I don't think. Well, personally, I wouldn't want to be governed by a book that I barely understand, that other people tell me what it means, and then say like that's how you should live your life. It should just be like the key principles of don't lie, don't murder, don't steal,
Yeah.
and
I
then
think we can get that from
live
our
your life.
parents though, right? Like we don't
Yeah,
really need a
exactly.
Bible for that.
No.
I mean, I don't know if I didn't learn it from the Bible. I think I
I mean,
just learned it.
I
Maybe from
I
GI
think that
Joe and stuff.
people who use religion as a way to, because they need a belief, like they need something to believe in that's bigger than themselves, or
Yeah.
a place after death. I think that's a great, I wish I had like some closure, as or like some like really like strong, like I know, there's heaven, or I know there's hell, or whatever. um I kind of subscribe to the system of, I believe in a reincarnation system, where you're reincarnated until you, so you're reincarnated if, to kind of simplify it, if your bad deeds outweigh your good deeds. So if you have negative karma left over, you would be reincarnated to then make up for that. And then when you would reach heaven, or what in my kind of spiritual religious belief system is called moksha, would be when you clear all your kind of debts, or like your whatever you owe to people, or your files, what they call them is like, I don't know, like your dependents, people, you, or like, and you like your good outweighs your bad. That's when you go to heaven, and that's like what everyone's kind of going for, is like they want to get to that point of like eternal bliss. um and I'm not a super religious person or a spiritual person. I don't really think about it a lot, but I do kind of believe in that. In personally, I believe in that, and I completely understand other people who believe in different things. And that's a great, I think that's a great use of religion in real life.
Yeah, I think like there are definitely things like fostering a sense of community and things like that for sure. I think it just gets dangerous when you're using it to control people or when it's inserting itself into government.
Hmm.
Also, like the Bible itself had so many different writers, which is why it doesn't make sense half of the time because there were lots of different writers and there's I
And the
read
translations between the
yeah,
old and
and all the
new.
translations. I was in college. I read the Old Testament in
Hmm.
a course in some apocalyptic literature, and so I'm like, as a piece of literature, it's fascinating. Like I'm just like Jason, where I'm like, yeah, we shouldn't use that in government, or like line by line. Like, I mean, like any books like with authors, like you can certainly take lessons or values or things
Yeah.
from them, and like what you're saying, Drew, like you can take that from the
Hmm.
Bible too. You can say, oh, like this is an interesting story and there was a moral to it, and maybe I can learn and take something from it. So that aspect is good and interesting. It just not in our legal system.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. um Actually, I'm trying to make my schedule for my classes next, or I guess in the fall. And Georgetown has a theology requirement because it's a Catholic university. And so there's two kind of options you can take. You can take biblical studies, or you can take the problem of God. And I'm taking that class, obviously.
Oh,
And the
please tell me
class,
how that goes.
yeah, I'm gonna report back because I think I'm really excited for that class of like just going into questioning it, and in an environment where there's students from different backgrounds and the professors from a different background as well. And just seeing like what comes out of it. It's I the class just sounds so interesting. The problem, like the name, the problem of God, like that, just so many things can go with that.
Yeah, that is. I'll tell you a funny story about like being in college in a class with people of different denominations, and like so I was raised Jewish, and we were talking about the crucifixion in the class, and I must have been one of the very few Jews in the class, and they were talking about Jesus getting stabbed on the cross, and they're and the professor's just talking about it casually, and I'm like, wait a minute, like because I didn't learn that growing up, so I'm raising my hand, and I'm like, when did that happen? They stabbed him too, and they're like, and the professor's looking at me like, what do you mean you don't know this? And then I had to say, well, I was raised Jewish. They're not going to teach us about the crucifixion in Hebrew
uh,
school. And so they had to like back up and explain it to me. But it
Oh
was,
my god.
yeah, I think so much of our society is based off of Christianity that it's so hard for other it's so hard to learn, even to learn about other religions.
Hmm.
In school is a great kind of concept of like it's always decorated for Christmas, but is it ever decorated for Hanukkah or for Kwanzaa or for Diwali or Holi or Eid? There's like, I just fundamentally in the Pledge of Allegiance when it says, in God, I forget it, but in something about God, and it's like, well, I like, or people who are Hindus believe in that there's hundreds of gods. So when you say in God, you're discounting our faith of that there's multiple. So just those like little things influence me to like where I'm like, maybe I'll just go with like what Christianity says. Like in elementary school, I would be more excited about Christmas than I would be about like holidays that my family or my religion or my background would want me to be more excited about. Like I'd be more excited about, or I would know more about Christmas and the background behind Christmas than I would know about Diwali, And I think it's weird when we're living in a society that's supposed to be a melting pot, that's supposed to be, you're supposed to be free to practice or learn any religion, but there's one religion that really sticks out and is I can't say it, but it's like present in society so overwhelmingly.
Omnipresent?
I was thinking omniscient.
Yeah, omniscient.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I just can't say sometimes I say words.